Hello and welcome to another video. It's me, Solid, and we're here for a breakdown of who? SF Shadow Epsilon. So yeah, I believe I made a video a couple of days ago. I say a couple of days ago, it's probably like almost 5 days ago at this point. But I realized something. So during my summons, after having reviewed the unit, checking it out, reading on it, I was at first disappointed by it. Particularly due to the way that they word the passive. It's not well worded. So initially, upon first looking at the passive, and I made this like a little bit more like expressive when I was, or like I tested stuff out during my account review. But I will be testing out stuff here, like more explicitly here, just to kind of showcase this stuff, just to kind of showcase her in like her best situation. So the way that she works is a little bit more nuanced, and by the way I say nuance is she doesn't explain it here well properly, but it's quite good. And pretty much, so the way she works is each time damage is received, she grants charge effect on first and second row elementals. Not the first in the roster, but your like first and second strongest characters. How is it possible that they didn't make this bad? I have no idea. I had to double check it because I was lying to myself, essentially telling me like she's good, guys, she's good, totally not just something I wanted to pull, but after actually properly testing her, and I will be testing her soon, she actually has a much better kit than I expected because of this part. This is the best part they added that fixed the character, and it wasn't added later on, but it was just pretty much not explained properly. So it has charge effect on first and second strongest characters on your team. They will also get every 3 seconds it grants both of them an effect. She will also shield all allies behind self, as well as grants charge effect if they're red elemental. So this is one of the only ways I could have actually figured out she would have actually buffed them, and I thought it was kind of bad because hey, they're going to be buffed and they're not really getting that much. But the way she works is good. So she shields damage, and she also gives them like charge, and I do believe this works for everybody. I'm not entirely sure if this is a singular ally. It looked to be a singular ally. But at least from my perspective, it worked properly, and we'll be showing off here soon. We're actually going to be slowing it down, but charge effect is primarily my biggest concern when using her. The reason charge effect is so good is because it basically increases damage cap, which is the goal. She increases damage cap of your first and second units, which is why this can come in so in handy. Because if you're not aware of this, the game has like a very what I would consider a bit not necessarily counterintuitive, but obnoxious way of like limiting the damage you output. And this is based on hit per instance damage, damage. So if she hits once, she will essentially hit for that amount. But the problem that I've had, and Alpha has that same issue. And the problem is not necessarily that Alpha she's not a good character, because I had to rethink about how her entire thing works. She's just a DPS unit. She is meant to hit really hard and be like a slight support to herself, and as well as everybody else, which is good, by the way. This stuff is really quite good. But the problem you kind of end up running into is that if you don't have a good team supporter for yellow, she kind of falls off. In the case of Epsilon, she is both a really good support. She is an amazing tank, because not only can she provide shield, she provides she also provides ongoing recovery, by the way, or reduces own damage recovery. It further grants ongoing HP to herself, so she heals herself and reduces damage taken for herself. It's not necessarily the biggest the best thing, but it is quite handy. She will basically keep herself alive. I don't know if she taunts or not. I think in Brilliance, Shields. It's just shield and like recovery. Yeah, probooks and probooks. So she's gonna basically like send everybody to herself. She's a taunt unit. She's a defensive unit. She heals herself. She also shields all allies. She also provides a charge effect, which is quite good. And I do believe charge is one of the buffs that can't be necessarily removed normally. So you can't remove the buff, like, with most standard ways. From my understanding, yeah. She also has a really good card that essentially each time, like, anybody is debuffed, it cancels 5 debuffs on allies. So that means she basically can't be debuffed. Every like 5 seconds, she'll remove 5 debuffs on all allies, which is quite nice for the ones that can't be removed. There's a bit of a cooldown, but this is pretty good. And there's also her ultimate, which is really what I would consider being like extremely important. It's not necessarily like the biggest defining thing, at least not for like damage output. It can be, if you have it maxed out. And I think it is towards the end. I think no, number 3. It's not bad. It's some of this stuff is really quite good, and it's like easily like obtainable. So it's really good. It's a really good kit. It's a really good set. She grants invincibility on all allies for 5 seconds, raises damage inflicted for a single attacker with highest attack. So a person that has like the highest attacks will get like a 60%. It further raises attack for 15 seconds, right? So raises damage inflicted for single. So she raises attack and damage dealt by 60%. So whoever your strongest attacker is will pretty much be guaranteed to hit damage cap. Period. 120%, like 60% increase to damage, and then after that, multiplying that by like the 60% increased damage is really good. And she's like an overall really good unit. And she is only duped once for me. The more dupes of her, the better she'll be. Dupe number 2 is quite a big change because you increase your charge from 1 to 2, which basically can double your potential damage output. For her second skill, it also provides that same effect, and it's really quite good. I'm happy with the unit after having to relook at this, like, essentially, right? So the first skill or the first dupe boosts up this stuff, right? So it goes from 1 to 2. It raises the shield and allies from 200 to 100 to an extra 100%. So it shields you it increases shield by 50% essentially, which is quite good. It also grants charge like 2x, so it basically increases your damage cap from 50k to 100,000, which is all acted in accordance to like this as well. So this will add up like really quickly. She will also, by the way, like if you're using combo, she is also really quite nice. She will also reduces damage received for all allies by 5 to 40%. This is normal stuff for tanks. It also inflicts 100% damage, which is a little bit odd sometimes. Actually, no, I say odd. It's like tanks do hit damage, like hit. She also grants 2x charge on a single attack. She also like gives an additional 2 charge whenever you like boost. I don't think that's dependent on if you combo. I think it's just if you do the combo bonus and you have her in there, she will essentially increase the damage cap of said unit. But now that we've got that out of the way, we can actually test her out and see how she does. Damage character. We're gonna test it out in here. Quest. Note quest. I'm going to be trying it in a gift from Miss Santa, so I'm not actually necessarily gonna have like anything super crazy. I'm going to try and get in challenge mode. Battle. I'll show you the teams that I use personally. You can use many other ones. A mono red team with like Elf is also quite nice. I do believe she also boosts up Elf. I think it's that. No. Oh, you know who boosts up the Elves? I didn't even think about this. So the reason I say it's a mono red Elf team is due to the fact that this character right here, so Glimmering Blade Beatrix, is a really good unit, but she's like the biggest like blocker from what I've seen. She increases speeds and also shields allies for 15 seconds, or for, is this 50 seconds? No, for 30 seconds. Okay. Yeah, for 30 seconds, and then Glimmering Blade. Multiple every 15 seconds, raises damage inflicted for all allies by 20%, multiplied by elementals in party for 15 seconds. It also recovers their SP if they're an elf. This is what kind of led me into the mono red elf team. So most likely the best red team for a bit is going to be a red elf team. And honestly, if you wanted to like have like a really instant damage output character, you could probably pair her up with the if you have her gift from Santa, or what's her name. If you have her, so you pair her up. Actually, let me show you. Okay, so we have a theoretical decent team for her would be. Let's see, edit here. We're gonna do red. Red. So a good team for her would be this. Any decent DPS for elf. This, and then it would be the moonlight, the blade, like the blade, not blade, but into her stuff would be yeah, it'd be her sword or her passive. Yeah, it's 100 SP if you're like a red elemental. So you'd ideally pair her up with a mono red elf team. And actually thinking about it, as nice as it would be to have her with the other Epsilon, or the red Epsilon, actually wouldn't be necessarily for the best. It would actually cause her to ultimately like ultimate faster. But if you pair her up with her, right? So we have something like this. Let me show you. I think Sanctuary's open, right? It's just yes, opening. Because we're gonna test it out like this. So we're gonna edit party. Then we're gonna do this. We're gonna remove her. And I think that's it. This is kind of like an example of an ideal team. Let me see if I actually have a weapon. If not, I will just substitute for anything I have. Let's go with this. Then in this case, since they're all elf, they're gonna do pretty good damage output. And I don't know if their passives unlocked quite yet, but we're actually gonna be testing it out. Actually, no, hold on. You edit party. I don't need you. What I need is her. Confirm. And idealistically, she's actually gonna boost herself up, and she's gonna ultimate really fast. It's based on the single attacker ally with the highest attack, I believe. Attack 395. What's your attack? 510. What about you? Yeah, she's gonna be the highest. She's gonna have the highest attack. This may be better if you had a more like a Shadowfest red elf, for example, that might come out. If you replace it, it would actually boost her up really fast. But just kind of to showcase the effect, I don't think I actually have their passives unlocked at this point. Yeah, until rank 5. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna just clear this up really quickly. We're gonna confirm. We're gonna get through the Sanctuary. I haven't shown you all the Sanctuary, but just kind of showcasing the possibilities. Skip battle. Yep, I know. Skip. I will likely be resetting this. Red elemental human, red elemental, yeah. Raises damage cap, quick defense. That's this one. Skip. Yeah, but no, like, if y'all haven't tried the new Sanctuaries, it's pretty easy if you have the correct units. It's really not that bad. At least from my perspective. I will not actually be using like this too much, but I think ideally you want to reduce the damage you take, so select that one. It's really not too bad, but it can be a little bit obnoxious. Most of this one doesn't actually let you showcase like the actual damage output, but like essentially, right? So the reason I'm testing it out here is because I actually have access to the red elf, uh, uh, glimmering blade. I'm trying to think of her name. Glimmering blade, Beatrix. Just like that. We're gonna skip this again. This is really this team is really quite easy to get through most of the content. Oh, my little bit of a struggle there, and we're gonna have to retry it, I guess. Then I died again. Okay. Okay, so I need to swap out different characters because they're not actually doing enough damage, I guess. Reset it. I know. We're actually going to test out party 3? Party 2. It's going to be a similar thing, but we're going to just kind of go through this with the normal team I typically do, because that team might absolutely get shredded. This is my actual team that I actually get through this, get this through. So I guess, ideally, you in this case. What does she do? Cancel shield effect with an allies, lowers defense, that things. At the start of battle, raises damage for all elementals if party with 4 more. Versus zone damage, that's not it. What about the weapon? That's fine. Versus own damage inflicted by 40%. If party with 4 more elementals, so she's DPS bound. So I don't want to use her quite yet, but yeah. We're gonna select this one to confirm. Then we're gonna new again and confirm. Yeah, some of these things they end up being a little bit weird. I'm not sure why exactly I lost that quickly, but I think it's a DPS check. I think at that moment. We're gonna do this. Red healing here. Here. I might have actually been getting debuffed and just didn't like heal or like remove them because the new Epsilon actually does that pretty well. Yeah, poison, sure. But I know this is like supposed to be like an Epsilon showcase, and I apologize for taking some of this time. This is just to kind of ensure that I can actually get through it. But there are multiple possibilities, different characters you can use. Further raises crit defense with that. I'm gonna go with this one. It's better to have this one higher than it be a little bit lower with a decent one of these, because this boosts up your stats, I believe. We have this, and we're gonna skip this. Yeah, this should be pretty fine now. Yep, 100% good shit. A human. Go with this one. Over here. Then we unlock rank 5. Then we can go back here, edit our party. Then we can kind of show, because this is what I wanted to showcase, kind of like an example of like an ultimate rush, because she's good. You could also, yeah, let's see. So we're gonna go here, here. Ideally, what this is gonna do is it's gonna like basically instantly give you the ultimate of one of these characters, probably Beatrix. Based on her like her passive. 10 seconds after start of wave, recovers SP of single ally with highest attack by 500. Then she also recovers her own skill. Since she's maxed, She actually does recover about 200 points. We're gonna confirm. And we're gonna try her out here. We're not gonna skip battle. Just gonna showcase you what I'm talking about. Because this is like the character itself. Like I know I'm not talking necessarily about Epsilon in this case. You can use them in tandem. Is the main thing. But if you carry them up like this, the 1, 2, absolutely the normal time. You see that ultimate? I basically got ultimate gauge. And, I mean, it's gone. But she gets, like, the ultimate really fast. The idea for this is that to be kind of like an ult rush for your team. We're gonna go to Sanctuary, but we're gonna do this later in the week. But this is just gonna kind of just go showcasing, like, a couple of things. So, each time she'll lose this. They're all bad, I guess. But I'm gonna be swapping out this character at some point. Going back. That's just an example of like the mono red elf team, right? So you could use her with her. You could use her with Epsilon. Epsilon is just like a tankier, much more like DPS bonus character. There's multiple characters you can use. I'm not saying to use her necessarily. She is probably one of the best like support tanks that I've seen, because that's what I'm calling her. She's like a really like one-sidedly supporting tank. And I know there's different Epsilons that have done them in the past. I have to go by characters. I know like the current one of the best green cans from what I keep hearing people talking about, from what I keep hearing people from, is this green Epsilon. Where's she at? This one. Shared Silence Epsilon. She's like a really good unit. She is typically just a tank, from what I've seen. So characters. Epsilon. We have healer. Just one attacker. And there's another attacker. This is old Epsilons. I don't know about the other ones, but I believe they're also tank. Even the old Shadowfest, I believe, is also a tank. I may need to double check. Let me double check. SF Epsilon. Yeah, we even have the Epsilon Invaded Duo. That is technically a Epsilon as well. It's kind of a dual Epsilon as well. No, that's not it. Shadowfest, there's a team challenge. No. That's peculiar. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. Let me check. Shadowfest, Epsilon, Black Slime Suit. Man, I really want to like be able to like they don't have the character, at least not in the Reddit posted that one. Shadowfest, Epsilon. Yeah, it seems to be that she might have been a yellow Epsilon. Oh, somebody has like a tail and that stuff. Oh, there we go. Nope, that's not it. Okay, I think I see some. Rank it now. Okay, so Epsilon, 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 Epsilon. The old Epsilon is actually red, too. Huh. That's interesting. I had to look up a ranker. That's funny. No, that's interesting. I'll actually like check marking this. Rank list. But yeah, no, she seems to be another red unit, so she actually would have paired up really well with herself. I guess. Never mind. A red Epsilon team would have been like really truly goated. That's funny. It would be actually close to just being able to do like a red Epsilon, mono red Epsilon team. That is truly like funny. But yeah, aside from that, she is. There's nothing else I can really say in like actual practice for her case scenario, right? So let me actually showcase you her case scenario, right? So, event quest, get from Santa, awesome. We're gonna try here. Battle. This is one of like an old one because everything else would just kick my ass and I haven't unlocked them yet. It's just kind of to showcase that she can be used like there, right? So the reason I'm using Gamma is because I have other units that are decent enough. Ideally, I might actually swap out for her at some point, but realistically, she's probably like one of the like not necessarily like the best anymore. I would have also loved to use Aurora because of her bleach. She's really good. Typically, like just really good. Period. We're gonna confirm this. We're gonna have her like this, and we're gonna try them out. So they actually have perfect synergy so far. Epsilon doesn't need an elf, which is where I was kind of like not necessarily confused by, but I looking out at it, it's a good thing. Yeah, high stack. So they're not actually locked behind like racial passives, which is nice. So she's like an overall really good unit. She has a lot of versatility, a lot of different uses typically. She can actually be used in other teams as well, I think. Even from her own passive, if no, so her passive can be used to that, like her unit. No, this is strictly like locked behind that. I think even the Shadowfest Alpha might have a little bit more versatility because even her passive can be used on anybody else. It raises crit rate of allies by 15% and grants 4 charge. The crit rate is kind of the nice part about it. If you have her like duped up more, it could be really good. Raises on damage and then raises crit rate for all allies. Yeah, so her stuff is really good. Then raises her all allies. She's like an overall really good like yellow. She's decent as a support. I think I want her to do more like singular damage DPS, and I just don't have the correct supports to like make her like truly shine. Because her sword is literally just really good. Her weapon or her like awakened like weapon is really quite good, but I don't have it, so it's kind of being locked behind that. It's kind of like the obnoxious part. She will basically guarantee your characters to crit, or like more often, which is good. Aurora has just her stuff is really good. She has a decent crit rate with her demon power. But aside from that, we're actually going to try them out and kind of to showcase like what it looks like in battle. So every second, every time the Epsilon takes damage, she boosts up. Okay, so it's a singular ally. Oh, but I don't think she's taking damage yet. There we go. Two buffs right there. There's two buffs. Actually, yep. She is granting them to all three of them. We're gonna do this. Misses combo damage. Grants ally charge. Covers SP. This and this. As you can tell, all the debuffs are stacking up. On this. It's kind of just like a similar layout. Get everybody else maxed out before you can do that. Charge would ideally go first if you're not really needing it for damage reduction. So just get that out of the way. And I believe it should be like the highest attack ally as well. It should just be Aurora in this case, as you can tell. We're on Ultimate 7. Every single time we get damage, this hit increases damage output. And once we hit a... She also gives everybody immunity. This is a buff from increases attack by 10%. Let's see. Let my characters get stunned. Good here. We're gonna showcase like the first damage cap, which is it should be like an extra 400k. Close to there. Yep, 359k. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this, this, and this. Yep, that is actual damage. So we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna hit finally with Aurora. Here's if we're gonna hit. Okay. I guess I should finish it up with Aurora. She hits really hard whenever she does. You know, I will retry this again. We have 200,000 damage. I don't actually get any more hunt points because I already completed this a while back. We're gonna do challenge. We're gonna retry. We're gonna go a little bit faster this time. We're gonna showcase her like true damage output. So in the case of not using Aurora, right? So maybe I should like hold on. Let me actually take it back. We're actually gonna retire, and what we're gonna do is I'm gonna show you the difference between before her and after her, right? So we're gonna go here. Challenge battle. We're gonna use her. And we're gonna swap out her. Which she's really good. She actually helps the ultimate really fast. So she's not necessarily like the worst thing ever. She's actually one of my favorite tanks so far. A nice looking tank, a good looking tank, and I got lucky with her. She helped me out a lot. So this is my typical setup. This was before Epsilon. So this is a heal. We're gonna do like normal stance because it's taking a minute. But as you can tell, my Aurora has already pretty much hit the jackpot with stuff. So we're gonna here. Okay. So Aurora can hit really fast. 599, 5,199. Bam, 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 and bam. Honestly, one of the ones that have the highest potentials of damage output is actually the. It's decent damage. We got 16 seconds left over. That's not bad. The max damage output on Aurora was then 600,000. Is not bad. Good damage. But here's the key difference, right? So Aurora does 600,000 damage, which is really good. It's not bad. I'm not saying it's bad. No, I'm not saying that. Here's the funniest part, because through testing this, I kind of realized that she increases everybody's damage by a ton, and she also lets them increase their damage cap. This is where she like truly shines. We have her here. We're gonna try it out. And then I think we're just yep, 2x speed. That's fine. So we no longer have the ultimate gauge like really fast, so we actually have time to prepare release what it is. Have that. We're gonna do this. Little bit of region, assuming I ever wanted to. Get that, and that. We got that ready. We're gonna click here, because this is a boost, and we're gonna click on the attack. We're gonna do this here, 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 here. $330, okay. Boost. Okay, we're gonna do an extra charge, so bam, 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 bam. And we're gonna ultimate with Aurora. This is 13. This is the max damage output you can do at this current point. 859, 999. And we did it in 40 seconds, I think, so like, or 38 seconds. So it was faster, it was higher damage output, and it was really good. It was really good. And that's where the alt rush, by the way. The alt rush can really like destroy like teams, like if they're really meant to. It's nothing big of a change, but if the longer the fight takes, the more health the bosses have, the better you'll do, and it's just going to be like that over and over again. So it's going to end up being really quite good for your team, and it's going to be quite pleasant. Hitting for that 859k the first time left me baffled. And I don't know if you can actually get past that amount, because I didn't see it, because I don't know if there's just like a limitation of how long the buff lasts, but 13,000 times 50k plus the extra, is it 399? I think it's 299 actually. Up there. The max damage cap is 299. Because she also does a secondary hit from just them having bleed, I believe. Inflicts 6% on each target multiplied by its total bleed effect. So if they have 20 bleed, it can basically end up being like a whole extra attack. We have it like this. And it's either like this or like this. It's quite good, really. On each target, so multiply that. Inflicts 2 damage on each target, so it kind of just ends up getting capped out by that instance. I don't believe this gets like the extra damage cap. I do think this gets the normal damage cap most likely. This is probably what gets it, which is likely why my damage cap wasn't that much higher. But it basically did look like it doubled my damage cap. So 259, or 13 times, because that's how many buffs it had, times the, plus the extra 299, which should be 1,000. I mean, according to the math, this should have been 859. Why, what? What? Because I had 13 of those. Okay. Let me double check on my other video real quick. Oh. Pardon for screen going black a little bit there. Here. And those. Go here. This is the one. Turn it off. Okay, it seems I've got something wrong. I apologize for that. I'm some thoughts for granted. So it's not actually 50K. I thought it was, which was probably my mistake. Can it be? What did you say? So can it be canceled? No, it can't. Okay, X cannot be. Okay, charge. Buff. It's a buff card, and I just saw it. Each attack raises the damage inflicted by hidden technique by 10%, so it increases damage for hidden technique by 10%, and also the damage limit when hidden technique is activated by 10,000. So I realized now my math was off, so that's why I was getting like an odd number of damages. So the actual amount is, so the base number is, right, so let's assume the base number is 190,000. I believe maybe 189. We have that, multiply the times 13, so times 330. Oh, okay, yeah, had some happen, 589. Okay, my math ain't mathing. So 589, somewhere around there. 589,000 times 10%, which is 10% times 100. So 130%, so times 130, so 1.3. I guess it's 2.3. Nope, that's not right. So the theoretical max damage output from that should theoretically be 13 million, but since the damage cap is only raised by 10,000, right? So my damage doesn't really matter towards the end of it. The increase is 10%, but since my damage output is much higher already, what I end up actually getting out of it is just the damage cap, which ends up being, so in the case for the earlier session, it was 13 times 10,000. Match. Which should theoretically be 719, but since I do believe we have two different instances of damage happening, and I'm not entirely sure if both of them hit the damage cap, we end up in my case, for example, we end up with let me actually pull this up. Let's see. Finish. Screen. Paint. we're gonna do here. Add this, add a window capture, paint. Oh, it actually does. Okay, so in the case for the other day where I took like the damage cap, and pardon me for like having that, I actually ended up with the 839 was my damage output. In the case of the amount of buffs I had, when I hit was about 12. This isn't actually like the part, like the actual proper amount that I had. So if I go back here, I actually take the amount from before it, because that's like the actual output damage on that. As long as it will load. There. Okay. And in this case, okay, go back here. And in my case, I actually ended up with 12 stacks of the charge right there, if you can see it. That's the affecting charge. No save. But yeah, no, that's kind of like the case for the damage output. It's really kind of like a weird number, because in my case I had 12 effects, and my max damage output back then shouldn't have been 839. It should have been somewhere more along the lines of 719, or yeah, 709. But since two different things are kind of happening, they end up messing with the true damage output. I think for a normal unit that doesn't have two different instances of damage output, which some of them are better if they do, I won't lie. And that's kind of like exactly the case for somebody like, where's Gamma at? So Gamma is probably one of the best units that I've seen that has like that damage cap, or the damage feature. Her hitting multiple times is what kind of leads damage cap to not really be damage cap. So in the case for, what's my Gamma? Where's Gamma? We're gonna level. Well, and here. So right here. So Gamma has a different ultimate with it hits 8 different times, 250, and she also ignores provoke. Her passive, her stuff is really good. It ends up being like about the same as normal attack damages, but her hitting 8 different times means she can theoretically hit 8 different times this damage cap. And that's per instance of damage. It's not that each one can, like, her ultimate can only hit up to that amount. I've seen her hit harder. I have seen her hit much harder than she should. And I think Gamma has probably some of the best damage output potential because of this stuff. Having multiple attacks is truly like some of the most like odd things that you should really look into, because she has a lot of damage output potential, and I personally would love to like max her a little bit more. I would love to test her out, but the problem is, personally, Aurora ends up doing much more damage faster, and I have her maxed out, so she kind of is just good. She does also buff her as well at times, but she kind of ends up falling off randomly whenever she doesn't do it properly. So if Gamma had more buffs, and if she was the highest damage dealer in my team, or my secondary, even just my secondary, right, she'd do pretty well. She'd do quite well. And honestly, I love Iris with passion. She is what kind of kept me going after the entire thing. After like coming back, as well as Beatrix, it kind of came back really, but so I got her, and getting her with the how do I put it? Her kit's really like based on having like her higher damage output, because she's a really good single target damage dealer. Yeah, on all 2,000 damage on all enemies within 100 centimeters of attack with 100 centimeters. Yeah, so she can deal like a lot of damage for all enemies on her ultimate, which is quite good. But she kind of ends up falling off because she doesn't do much more than just... She can do a lot of damage, and it's not bad. But when everybody else is immune to damage, it kind of falls off really fast. She can pretty much like kill like an enemy team like pretty easily. Aurora has like that similar kind of thing for her. I think her ultimate is Reatomic, grants power and stuff, inflicts 2,000 damage on a single enemy, so she's good. She'll basically be guaranteed to crit and crit damage whenever she ultimates. Because it gives us 4 instances of demon power. This is after like using her ultimate, if she doesn't kill in like fast, she's not doing something correctly, because she literally will like output so much damage that it's genuinely not okay. So her crit rate by default is 2%. She I believe has like around with her kit with her maxed out. She ends up with what, around 7% plus an extra 10%, so she ends up with about 20% crit rate, give or take. That's just before everything else, and every buff stacking up just makes her crit. Everything crits, everything crit damages, so she's gonna hit damage cap no matter what, is what I noticed. This is why I super messed on her, and I got super happy with her. But aside from like just bragging about the units, which is not my intention, damage cap is such a weird thing to deal with. And realizing what the buff actually does now, it's not bad. It's better if you had her more duped up, because she like will increase the damage output significantly. By the time you do need the damage output, I don't know if you'll actually need it, because more often than not, the stuff that does need it is a little bit more heinous and like really needing to hit damage cap. Damage cap is a big offsetter of being able to clear some content, as well as perhaps just getting capped out. Because it's like really like obnoxious, but it doesn't. I thought it was like a limit on 850,000. It's not that there's a limit. It's just that my natural max damage output is kind of being blocked by, well, genuinely just me not dealing enough damage. That's just kind of it, or me not having enough buffs from her, rather. But yeah, no, that's kind of like the case. This is like the best case scenario for Epsilon. She is a good unit. She's quite pleasant. If y'all want to summon her, feel free to. You don't have to. I like the unit. You have kind of like a day to think about it. If y'all are thinking of summoning, go for it. You do have to plan for anniversary. It's kind of like the biggest warning I have to give you. So do watch out for that and plan accordingly. Because if you don't get her, that's going to kind of wreck you. If you do get her, good. If you get her too late with your like gems and stuff, it may end up hurting you. Because we don't know what's going to happen on anniversaries. Because we have a Apocrypha releasing right now. And this releasing in like 24 hours, right? From when this video is being recorded, it will be releasing in 24 hours. We will be going into maintenance, and then we're going to have to deal with that. But yeah, this has been the in-depth look at Epsilon, as well as kind of like good units to balance it, alternatives to Epsilon, as well as just kind of like an interesting setup for like an ultimate, like an alt gauge, or I guess it's just called an alt rush team, right? So a hidden technique rush team. But yeah, that's been it for that. I hope you all enjoyed. And if you got something useful out of this, hope you'll have a good one. I will be most likely taking a bit of a look at some of the back of the Apocrypha once it releases, because I did notice some people are having like some issues trying to figure out why they're not having like this particular thing unlocked, or why do I still have a key that makes me feel like I'm missing something. And I honestly am not quite sure, but I will be looking into it a little bit more. But yeah, y'all have a good one. Stay solid. Bye-bye.